Right now, as you are watching this video, millions of tiny blood vessels in your legs are working incredibly hard to push blood back up to your heart against the relentless pull of gravity. And if you are over 70, there is a very real chance that this intricate system is struggling far more than you realize. I have seen patients walk into my office with swollen ankles so puffy they could barely tie their shoes, aching legs that kept them awake at night, and visible veins snaking across their calves like road maps of accumulated years. Most of them had absolutely no idea that what they were eating every single day was either helping or hurting this critical circulatory process. Some of them were unknowingly making their circulation dramatically worse with every meal, choosing foods that increased inflammation and weakened their blood vessel walls. Others discovered that surprisingly simple changes to their diet transformed their leg health in ways they never imagined possible, reducing swelling that had plagued them for years and giving them back mobility they thought was gone forever. Hello, I am Dr. Emily Hartwell, and I have spent over 25 years as a vascular medicine specialist, helping patients understand how their cardiovascular system works and what they can do to support it naturally. Throughout my career, I have treated thousands of patients with venous insufficiency, varicose veins, and chronic leg swelling. What I have learned is that while medical treatments certainly have their place, what happens in your kitchen often matters just as much as what happens in my clinic. Before we dive into the 7 foods that can genuinely support your circulation and help reduce that uncomfortable swelling in your legs, I want to make sure you do not miss any of the health information I create specifically for people like you. If you have not subscribed yet, I recommend hitting that subscribe button and turning on the notification bell so you never miss another health tip designed especially for your needs. And if you find this video helpful, please leave your questions and suggestions for future videos in the comments below. I read every single one, and your input helps me create more content that can help more people just like you. Now, let me tell you about Mrs. Dorothy Patterson. Dorothy is 78 years old, a retired elementary school teacher from Savannah, Georgia, who spent 35 years shaping young minds in the classroom. She came to see me about 2 years ago, shuffling into my office with her daughter supporting her arm, her steps careful and measured like someone walking on uncertain ground. Her ankles were so swollen that she could barely fit into her shoes anymore, and she had resorted to wearing her late husband's old slippers just to leave the house. The skin on her lower legs had taken on a brownish discoloration that we call hyperpigmentation, a sign that blood had been pooling there for quite some time, causing iron deposits to stain the tissue. She had several prominent varicose veins winding up her calves like rivers on a map, some of them bulging enough that you could see them through her stockings. Dorothy told me she had been dealing with this for years, accepting it as just part of getting older, but it had gotten dramatically worse in the past 18 months. She was embarrassed to wear dresses anymore, even though she had always loved them. She had stopped going to her weekly bridge club, the social highlight of her week for the past 20 years, because sitting for long periods made her legs ache unbearably, and she was ashamed of how they looked. Her quality of life had diminished significantly, and she felt like she was watching herself age and fast forward, losing pieces of the active social woman she had always been. When I asked Dorothy about her diet, she described what she considered healthy eating: toast with margarine for breakfast, a sandwich for lunch, pasta or rice with dinner. Very few vegetables, almost no deeply colored foods, and certainly nothing she would have considered medicinal. What Dorothy did not realize was that her food choices were missing key compounds that her aging vascular system desperately needed to function properly. You see, as we age, our blood vessels naturally lose some of their elasticity and strength, much like a rubber band that has been stretched too many times over too many years. The valves inside our veins, which are supposed to prevent blood from flowing backward by snapping shut after each heartbeat, can become weakened and floppy. These tiny valves are absolutely critical because they are the only thing fighting gravity in your leg veins. When they fail to close properly, blood that should be heading up to your heart instead falls back down and pools in the lower parts of your legs. This is what causes that swelling, that heaviness, that aching discomfort that so many people over 70 experience daily. Add to this the fact that our bodies produce less of certain protective compounds as we get older, including natural anti-inflammatory molecules and compounds that keep our blood vessel walls strong and flexible, and you have a recipe for swelling, discomfort, and visible vein problems that seem to get worse with each passing year. But here is the encouraging news that I share with all my patients who feel frustrated or hopeless about their leg health. Certain foods contain powerful natural compounds that can actively support your blood vessels, improve your blood flow, reduce harmful inflammation, and help combat the swelling that makes daily life so uncomfortable. These are not exotic superfoods from remote jungles or expensive supplements that drain your wallet. They are real, accessible, affordable foods that you can find at any grocery store, foods that many of you may already have in your kitchens. The first food I want to discuss might surprise you with its remarkable vascular benefits. Beets, those deep purple-red root vegetables, contain some of the highest natural concentrations of dietary nitrates found in any food. Now, when you eat beets, something fascinating happens in your body. The nitrates are converted first to nitrites and then to nitric oxide, a molecule that causes your blood vessels to relax and dilate. When your blood vessels are more relaxed, blood flows more easily. This reduces the pressure on your venous system and can help decrease that pooling effect that causes swelling in your lower legs. I remember Mr. Harold Jenkins, a 74-year-old retired postal worker from Portland, Oregon, who had dedicated over 40 years to delivering mail through rain, snow, and scorching summer heat. Harold had walked miles every single day for his entire career, up steep driveways, across sprawling suburban lawns, and through countless neighborhood streets that became as familiar to him as his own home. By the time he reached his 70s, his legs showed the wear and tear of all those years of dedicated service. He had significant varicose veins running along both calves, some of them so prominent that they created visible ridges under his skin. He also suffered from chronic ankle swelling that made his retirement far less enjoyable than he had imagined during all those years of planning and saving. Harold used to dream about spending his retirement hiking the beautiful trails around Mount Hood with his wife, but now even a walk around the block left his legs throbbing and swollen. He was skeptical when I mentioned dietary changes could help, having grown up in an era when food was just food and nobody talked about eating for your veins. But Harold was also pragmatic and desperate enough to try anything that might help. He agreed to start adding beet juice to his morning routine, mixing it with a little apple juice to soften the earthy taste. 3 months later, Harold came back into my office with a noticeably lighter step. He reported that his ankles were significantly less puffy by the end of the day, that the heavy, tight sensation he had grown accustomed to had lessened considerably. He was not cured, of course, and I never promised him that, but the improvement was meaningful enough that he had started taking evening walks with his wife again, something he had completely given up because of the discomfort. They were even planning a short hiking trip for the spring. Beyond nitrates, beets also contain betalains, which are the pigments responsible for their striking color. These compounds have anti-inflammatory properties that can help calm the inflammation often associated with venous insufficiency. Inflammation in your blood vessel walls can worsen vein function and contribute to that heavy, achy feeling in your legs that so many of my patients describe. If you are still watching and finding this information useful, I would love it if you could type a 1 in the comments below. It lets me know you are with me and helps more people discover this video so they can benefit from this information too. The second food that can powerfully support your circulation is one that many people already enjoy, but may not realize has such significant vascular benefits. Citrus fruits, and I am talking about oranges, grapefruits, lemons, and tangerines, contain high concentrations of compounds called flavonoids. One particular flavonoid called hesperidin has been extensively studied for its effects on venous health. Hesperidin appears to strengthen the walls of blood vessels and improve their tone, which helps them maintain proper function even as we age. Mrs. Evelyn Morrison, an 81-year-old grandmother of 6 from Tampa, Florida, had been dealing with varicose veins for more than 3 decades. She remembered first noticing them in her late 40s, and they had been her unwelcome companions ever since, growing more prominent and troublesome with each passing decade. She had already had one minimally invasive procedure to treat the worst of them about 5 years ago, which had provided some relief, but new problem veins kept appearing like stubborn weeds in a garden. The chronic swelling in her lower legs made it difficult to keep up with her grandchildren, who ranged from ages 4 to 15 and desperately wanted their grandmother to be able to play with them and attend their soccer games and dance recitals. Evelyn loved citrus fruits and had always eaten them regularly, a natural consequence of living in the Sunshine State where orange groves stretched across the landscape. But she had gotten out of the habit in recent years because of some dental sensitivity that made biting into oranges uncomfortable. When we discussed her vascular health in detail, I encouraged her to find creative ways to incorporate more citrus back into her diet, perhaps through fresh squeezed juices that she could drink through a straw to minimize contact with sensitive teeth, or by eating the segments of softer, less acidic varieties like tangerines. Her daughter helped her establish a routine of having a glass of fresh citrus juice with breakfast every morning. Over the following year, Evelyn noticed that while her existing varicose veins did not magically disappear, the progression seemed to slow considerably compared to years past. Her legs felt less heavy when she stood up in the morning, and the swelling that had been creeping up her calves seemed to stabilize rather than continuously worsening. The flavonoids in citrus fruits also have antioxidant properties, which means they help protect your blood vessels from damage caused by oxidative stress. Think of oxidative stress like rust forming on metal. Over time, it weakens and degrades the structure. Antioxidants help prevent this damage from accumulating in your vascular system. The third food I want to tell you about is something that has been used medicinally for thousands of years, and modern science is now confirming what traditional healers long suspected. Ginger is a remarkable root with powerful effects on blood circulation. It contains compounds called gingerols and shogols that help prevent blood from becoming too thick and sticky. When blood flows more smoothly, it places less strain on your veins and is less likely to pool in your lower extremities. Mr. Robert Chen, a 76-year-old retired accountant from San Francisco, California, had spent 40 years poring over spreadsheets and financial statements, building a successful career through meticulous attention to detail. That same analytical mind now focused on his health concerns with characteristic precision. Robert had a troubling family history of circulatory problems that weighed heavily on his mind. His father had suffered from severe varicose veins that eventually led to a painful leg ulcer, and his older brother was already dealing with significant venous insufficiency. Robert was determined not to follow the same path, to break the family pattern through proactive choices. He had already noticed some spider veins appearing on his lower legs, thin purple and red lines spreading like tiny lightning bolts across his skin. He also experienced occasional ankle swelling after long days, particularly when he had been sitting for extended periods during his volunteer work helping local nonprofits with their accounting. Robert started incorporating fresh ginger into his cooking in every way he could imagine, grating it into stir-fries, adding it to marinades, blending it into smoothies. He also began drinking 2 cups of ginger tea daily, one in the morning and one in the evening, making it a ritual as regular as his old morning coffee. He was diligent about it, treating the ginger like medicine because to him it was medicine, a way to fight back against his genetic inheritance. After several months of this consistent routine, Robert told me that his legs felt lighter, as if someone had removed invisible weights from his ankles. The swelling he used to notice by evening had decreased significantly, and even the spider veins seemed less prominent, though he admitted that might have been wishful thinking. He was convinced the ginger was helping, and based on what we know about its mechanisms of action on blood viscosity and inflammation, I believe he was absolutely right. Ginger also has anti-inflammatory properties that can help reduce the swelling associated with venous insufficiency. When your veins are not functioning optimally, fluid can leak into the surrounding tissues, causing that puffy appearance we associate with poor circulation. By reducing inflammation, ginger helps address one of the underlying factors contributing to this problem. But wait, if you think these first three foods are impressive, the fourth one might be the most powerful of all for certain aspects of vascular health. Dark leafy greens like spinach, kale, Swiss chard, and collard greens are nutritional powerhouses when it comes to supporting your circulation. Like beets, these greens are high in dietary nitrates that convert to nitric oxide in your body. But they also bring additional benefits that make them particularly valuable for anyone concerned about leg swelling and vein health. Mrs. Patricia Williams, a 73-year-old retired nurse from Charlotte, North Carolina, knew more about health and medicine than most of my patients would ever learn. She had spent 40 years caring for others in one of the busiest hospitals in the region, working long shifts on her feet in the cardiac care unit, witnessing both the triumphs and tragedies of cardiovascular disease. Patricia understood better than anyone the importance of taking health seriously. But she admitted, somewhat sheepishly during our first appointment, that she had not always taken the best care of herself during all those decades of caring for everyone else. Nurses, she told me with a rueful smile, often make the worst patients. When she developed significant leg swelling and discomfort from venous insufficiency shortly after retirement, she was frustrated, but also highly motivated to do whatever she could to improve her situation, using every tool available. Her nursing background made her an ideal partner in her own care, because she understood the concepts and could track her symptoms with clinical precision. Patricia committed to eating a large salad with dark leafy greens every single day without exception. She would vary the greens to prevent boredom and maximize nutritional variety, mixing spinach with peppery arugula one day, hearty kale with crisp romaine the next, sometimes adding Swiss chard or mustard greens when they looked fresh at the farmer's market. She tracked her ankle circumference weekly, measuring at the same time each evening for consistency. Within 2 months, Patricia noticed that the swelling in her ankles was measurably less severe, her weekly measurements showing a clear downward trend. Her legs did not ache as much by the end of the day, and she felt she had more energy overall, something she had not expected but deeply appreciated. As a former nurse who was analytical about tracking her symptoms, Patricia was confident the improvement was real and directly connected to her dietary changes. Dark leafy greens are also excellent sources of vitamin K, which plays an important role in proper blood clotting. While you might think that anything affecting clotting could be problematic, maintaining appropriate vitamin K levels actually helps ensure that your clotting system functions normally, neither too much nor too little. Additionally, these greens provide magnesium, a mineral that helps relax blood vessel walls and supports healthy blood pressure. The fifth food that can help improve your circulation and reduce varicose swelling is one that might already be part of your snacking routine. Walnuts, along with other nuts like almonds and pecans, contain high levels of omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin E, and other compounds that support vascular health. The omega-3 fatty acids in walnuts help reduce inflammation throughout your cardiovascular system, including in the veins of your legs. Vitamin E acts as an antioxidant, protecting your blood vessels from damage. Mr. James Thompson, an 80-year-old retired mechanic from Detroit, Michigan, had hands that told the story of decades of hard physical work. But it was his legs that were giving him trouble now. Years of standing on concrete floors had taken their toll, and James had significant varicose veins and chronic swelling that made his retirement less comfortable than it should have been. James was not someone who paid much attention to nutrition, but he agreed to try adding a handful of walnuts to his daily routine. His wife would set them out for him with his morning coffee, making it easy to remember. Over time, James noticed that his legs felt less heavy and that the swelling seemed less pronounced. He was sleeping better too, which he attributed to less leg discomfort during the night. The healthy fats in nuts also help your body absorb fat-soluble vitamins and other beneficial compounds from the other foods you eat. So in a way, eating nuts can enhance the benefits you get from all the other circulation-supporting foods on this list. If you are still here with me, I want you to know that I genuinely appreciate you taking the time to learn about your health. These are the kinds of conversations I wish I could have with every patient. But there simply is not enough time in a typical appointment. That is why creating these videos is so important to me, and why your support through likes, comments, and subscriptions means so much. The sixth food that can support your venous health is something many people enjoy, but may not realize has such significant circulatory benefits. Berries of all kinds, including blueberries, strawberries, blackberries, and raspberries, are rich in compounds called anthocyanins. These are the pigments that give berries their deep, vibrant colors, and they have remarkable effects on blood vessel health. Mrs. Margaret O'Brien, a 77-year-old retired librarian from Boston, Massachusetts, had always been an avid reader but had never paid much attention to nutrition research. When she developed uncomfortable varicose veins and persistent leg swelling, her daughter encouraged her to explore dietary approaches alongside her medical treatment. Margaret learned about the benefits of berries and started adding them to her breakfast every morning. She would have a small bowl of mixed berries with her oatmeal, making it a pleasant routine rather than a chore. After several months, Margaret noticed that her legs felt more comfortable, especially during her long reading sessions. The swelling that used to make her feet feel tight in her shoes by afternoon had diminished noticeably. Anthocyanins work by strengthening the walls of blood vessels and reducing their permeability. When blood vessel walls are stronger and less leaky, fluid is less likely to seep into the surrounding tissues and cause swelling. These compounds also have powerful antioxidant effects, helping protect your vascular system from the damage that accumulates over time. Research has shown that regular consumption of berries is associated with improved blood vessel function in older adults. The effects may be modest, but when combined with other healthy habits, they can make a meaningful difference in how your legs feel and function. The seventh and final food I want to discuss is one that has been celebrated for its health benefits for centuries, and for good reason. Garlic contains compounds, particularly one called allicin, that have profound effects on cardiovascular health. Allicin and related compounds help relax blood vessels, improve blood flow, and may even help prevent blood cells from clumping together. For anyone dealing with circulation issues in their legs, these effects can be tremendously beneficial. Mr. William Anderson, a 79-year-old retired firefighter from Chicago, Illinois, had spent his career rushing into dangerous situations to help others. Now retired, he found himself frustrated by the limitations his body was placing on him. His legs were swollen, his varicose veins were uncomfortable, and he felt like he was slowing down faster than he should. William's wife had always cooked with plenty of garlic, but after learning about its circulation benefits, she increased the amount even further. They started having garlic with almost every evening meal. Over the following months, William noticed gradual improvements. The heaviness in his legs diminished, and the swelling that had been so persistent seemed to lessen. He was able to enjoy longer walks with his grandchildren, which meant everything to him. Garlic also has anti-inflammatory properties that can help calm the chronic low-grade inflammation that often accompanies venous insufficiency. By addressing inflammation at its source, garlic helps create conditions that allow your vascular system to function more effectively. Now that we have covered these 7 powerful foods, I want to offer some thoughts on how to actually incorporate them into your daily life. Because knowing what to eat is only half the battle. Actually making these foods a regular part of your routine is what will make the real difference. First, start gradually. You do not need to overhaul your entire diet overnight. Perhaps begin by adding one of these foods to your daily routine for a week or 2, then add another. This makes the changes sustainable rather than overwhelming. Second, find ways to make these foods enjoyable. Roast your beets with a little olive oil and balsamic vinegar. Add fresh ginger to stir-fries or smoothies. Mix berries into yogurt or oatmeal. When you actually enjoy what you are eating, you are far more likely to stick with it. Third, be consistent. The benefits of these foods come from regular consumption over time, not from eating them once and expecting miracles. Think of them as daily support for your vascular system, not a one-time fix. Fourth, and I cannot stress this enough, these dietary changes work best as part of an overall approach to vascular health. Stay active within your abilities. Elevate your legs when you can. Wear compression stockings if your doctor has recommended them. Avoid sitting or standing in one position for too long. Diet is powerful, but it is most effective when combined with other healthy habits. I also want to be very clear about something important. While these foods can provide meaningful support for your circulation and may help reduce swelling and discomfort, they are not a replacement for proper medical care. If you are experiencing significant leg swelling, visible varicose veins, skin changes on your lower legs, or leg pain, please see your doctor. These can be signs of venous insufficiency that may benefit from medical treatment. The foods I have discussed today can complement medical care, but they should not replace it. Mrs. Dorothy Patterson, the retired teacher from Savannah I mentioned at the beginning, made significant changes to her diet based on our discussions. She incorporated all 7 of these foods into her regular eating habits, with help from her daughter who did most of the cooking. Over the course of a year, Dorothy's leg swelling improved noticeably. The discoloration on her skin did not completely resolve, but it stabilized. Most importantly, Dorothy started going back to her bridge club. She wore compression stockings, elevated her legs during breaks, and felt confident enough in her progress to rejoin the social activities that brought her joy. That is what successful management of venous health looks like, not perfection, but meaningful improvement in quality of life. As we get older, our bodies require more thoughtful care. The blood vessels that have served us for 7, 8, or even 9 decades need support to continue functioning well. The foods we have discussed today, beets, citrus fruits, ginger, dark leafy greens, walnuts, berries, and garlic, provide that support in a natural, accessible way. They contain compounds that science has shown can help maintain blood vessel health, improve circulation, and reduce inflammation. I want you to feel empowered to take an active role in supporting your vascular health. You are not helpless against the changes that come with aging. Every meal is an opportunity to give your body what it needs to function at its best. The choices you make in your kitchen can have real effects on how your legs feel, how well your blood circulates, and how much swelling you experience. If this video has been helpful to you, I hope you will share it with friends or family members who might benefit from this information. So many people suffer from circulation problems and leg swelling without realizing that dietary changes can make a real difference. By sharing knowledge, we can help more people discover approaches that might improve their quality of life. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Your health matters, and I am honored to be part of your journey toward better vascular wellness. Please remember to talk with your own doctor about any concerns you have regarding your circulation or leg health. They can evaluate your individual situation and recommend the most appropriate approach for your needs. Take care of yourself, keep making those healthy choices, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.